Everyone, welcome to the City of Middletown Planning Board for the month of April. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we do a little housekeeping first for our transcriptionist. Mr. Adkins, our fire inspector, is absent this evening, not here. All board members are present, and also present is our new engineer. Pronounce your last name so I don't murder it.
Zarowski.
Is present this evening, and Mr. Krogan is present this evening. All right. First up, I make the announcement to make sure that everyone is aware that if you're here for the first time this evening, we may or may not act on your application. We'll hear you, but we may or may not vote on your application this evening. Moving forward onto the agenda, approval of minutes for March the 3rd, 2022. Motion by Ms. Witt, second by Mr. Madden. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck.
Yes.
Mr. Brito.
Yes.
Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Ms. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you. Next on the agenda is 118 Academy Avenue, Sobo and Sobo LLC. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Please state your intentions.
Greg Sobo, the law offices of Sobo and Sobo for the applicant. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So yes, we're here today seeking approval for 118 Academy and Avenue to be transformed from a prior, I want to call it residence, but in fact it was a rental building, into a commercial building where we will house some of our legal staff and representatives.
And just so, if no one remembers, Mr. Sobo had to go to the zoning board first to get some variances cleared up before he could come back to us. So for the record, let me open the public hearing first. I'll put it all in the public hearing record, all right?
Very good.
Okay. But I'll read that resolution in a moment for the record. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Anybody on the phone? Ms. Hanson, anyone online?
Not at this time.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone present wishing to speak, please step forward. All right. In the public hearing section, I'm going to add the Zoning Board of Appeals resolution for 118 Academy Avenue. Whereas Sobo and Sobo Holdings LLC filed an application with the Zoning Board of Appeals of the City of Middletown seeking an area variance in order to have an office located at 118 Academy Avenue, Middletown, Section 41, Block 1, Lot 33. And whereas, after due notice, public hearing was held by the Zoning Board of Appeals on March the 2nd, 2022, at 5 p.m. in the Corporation Counsel's office, City Hall, Middletown, New York. And whereas, at said hearing, all those who desire to be heard were heard and their testimony recorded. And whereas all testimony was carefully considered. Now therefore be it resolved by the Zoning Board of Appeals that the application be granted for the following variances: 2,933 square foot lot area variance, 37.5 foot lot width variance, 5.1 feet front yard variance, and a 1.61 feet side yard variance for Sobo and Sobo LLC in order to have an office located at 118 Academy Avenue. And this is filed by the City of Middletown Clerk, Richard McCormick, on March the 4th, 2022. We'll go to the board for any questions, comments, or concerns. Mr. Welch, do you have any concerns? And I don't believe Mr. Atkins, our fire inspector, had anything. He sent us an email. Everything he had reviewed, he agreed with. And of course, once you get some more, if you get any other plans, he would like to look at your structure. He's absent this evening, but he'd like to look at your structure eventually.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
One question on, it says residential, but it's in a C2 zone. So is it the first floor? It has to be commercial, which it's going to be, correct?
Yes.
How many floors are
It's a
there?
two-floor building.
So they're both going to be offices?
Correct.
And the parking is fine? There's enough parking?
He actually meets the parking regs. 6 parking spots are required.
Yes. Will that be enough for what you need?
Yes, we only have 4 people slated to be in that building.
And this is located right next to your building on Academy, or no,
So-
because you're a 100.
Our main office is at 1 Dawson Avenue.
Dawson Avenue.
Right next to it is 120 Academy, which is our real estate building, so we do occupy that. And right next to that is 118 Academy.
Did that answer your question, John? You okay? Any other board members, questions, concerns, comments? I'll go back to the public hearing then. Ms. Tu, anyone on the telephone? And Ms. Hanson, anyone online?
Not at this time.
And I did ask one question. We do have the mailings, Ms. Tu, for them? Sorry, forgot to ask. Okay, we're good. I'm going to,
I have one question for
Sure.
Greg. Greg, is it ADA compliant, or will you be making it?
That's a good question. We will be making it ADA compliant. It's not going to be a client service building, so we won't be having clients there, but nevertheless, we will make the accommodations for the ADA.
Thank you.
now I'll close the public hearing. Go back to the board one more time for any questions, comments, concerns. John?
What are the hours going to be?
It would be normal office hours for us, which I'm ashamed to say is very early to very late, probably 9 a.m. to approximately 7 p.m.
That 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In that case, we'll move on to the resolution for Sobo and Sobo LLC, 118 Academy Avenue for offices.
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Do we have mailings?
I did check.
Okay.
I asked. Yep.
Sorry.
Yes, no, that's okay. You're my conscience, you told me. On the resolution, for Sobo and Sobo LLC, 118 Academy Avenue for office purposes, office hours will be 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and I take it that's Monday through Friday?
Yes, sir.
Monday through Friday. And you'll be subject to the City of Middletown DPW and City of Middletown Fire Department inspections, approvals, and when necessary, approval of the Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, and ordinances of the City of Middletown, the State of New York, and the County of Orange, if applicable. In addition, if throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables, the applicant will supply said tables to an architect or engineer licensed in the State of New York. Also, whereas pursuant to the City of Middletown Code, Chapter 475, Article 4, Administration and Enforcement, Section 475-53, Paragraph E, Section 6, unless work is commenced and diligently prosecuted within 6 months and completed within 2 years of the date of granting of a special use permit, such special use permit shall be null and void. In other words, in 6 months from now, if you haven't started work, please send a letter of extension to the planning board.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a motion. Mr. Brito, I need a second. Mr. Madden, discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Brito?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Thank you, John. Next on the agenda, Sun River Health, Inc., 144 to 146 Dolson Avenue, Medical Office.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Allison Fauser with the law firm Cuddy and Fader. I'm representing Sun River Health before you tonight with their application for site plan and special permit approval. We are appearing for our public hearing, for which a notice was duly provided and mailings were provided to your clerk today. Here, the application is proposing a 1,600 square foot medical office. It's within the former martial arts studio in the existing shopping center. We are parking compliant with the ample amount of parking provided on space there. And as shown within our application package, it'll be minor interior renovations to put in nurses' stations, examination rooms, and office space. There will be no exterior architectural changes within our application, and for the use itself, it'll be purely treatment for nutritional education, assessment, and counseling.
Thank you. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? Yes, we do. Okay. And we'll go to the open the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to speak on this application, please step forward. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Nothing in writing. Do we have anyone on the telephone? Ms. Hanson, do we have anyone online?
We do not.
We'll go to the board for any questions, comments, concerns.
How many employees will you have?
The employees, I believe, will be 9 employees on site.
Hours of operation?
Mondays will be 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Tuesday through Friday will be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
9 a.m. to 5 p.m.?
That's correct.
And no Saturday and Sunday?
Nope.
Anything else, Ms. Houston? Okay. We'll go back to the public. Has anyone come online, Ms. Hanson?
Not at this time.
Anyone present wishing to speak? I'll close the public hearing. Go on to the board one more time for any comments.
Just
Concerns?
curious, are you selling any products at your
No, it's just advice and counseling.
advice and counseling? Okay.
Are you doing any exterior changes?
Nope, not proposed, just interior renovations. As shown
No
on this
lighting
plan.
or anything outside?
Nope, as far as I'm aware, they're not proposing anything like that.
This is a medical office. I mean, are we having physicians in this place, or what kind of license, practitioners are going to be there?
So it'll be nurse practitioners. It's a license through the state of New York for the WICS program, which is the Women's, Infant, and Children program. It'll be licensed by the state of New York following the improvements and an issuance of a CO and an inspection from the state.
So it'll be just nurse practitioners?
Yes, that's correct.
Any RNs or?
I'm not aware of any RNs, but I can check about that.
Typically, in the resolution, what we will add is that anyone that works there and performs any medical services must be licensed by the state of New York
Okay,
and must display their licenses there.
okay.
Okay?
We'll display that.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. There being no more questions on the resolution, Sun River Health, Inc., 144 to 146 Dolson Avenue, medical office. On the resolution, subject to the City of Middletown DPW and the City of Middletown Fire Department inspections, approvals, and when necessary, approval of Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, ordinances of the City of Middletown, the State of New York, and the County of Orange if applicable. All licenses for people that will be working there will be on display. Hours of operation will be Monday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Services rendered will be for medical advice and counseling. In addition, if throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables, the applicant will supply said tables to an architect or an engineer licensed in the state of New York. whereas pursuant to the City of Middletown Code, Chapter 475, Article 4, Administration and Enforcement, Section 475-53, Paragraph E, Section 6, unless work is commenced and diligently prosecuted within 6 months and completed within 2 years of the date of the granting of a special use permit, such special use permit shall be null and void. In other words, if you do not start work within 6 months, you must send a letter to this board for an extension.
Understood.
Okay? Need a motion. Mr. Numcheck, second by Mr. Madden. Discussion. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck.
Yes.
Mr. Brito.
Yes.
Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Ms. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. See the DPW for your permits.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Next on our agenda is Jenny Hertis, 86 to 90 North Street, Beauty Spa. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please state your name for the record and what your intentions are.
My name is Jenny Hertas, and I'm here to seek approval to open up my spa in downtown Middletown.
Thank you. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? Great. In that case, I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to speak on this application, please step forward. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Anyone on the telephone? Ms. Hanson, anyone online?
We have someone just listening.
Someone just listening.
Oh, someone just listening. Fine. Okay. If they want to speak, you'll let me know, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. To the board for questions, comments, concerns?
How many people will you be employing?
2.
2. Okay. And what will your hours be?
7 days a week, and we'll be open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And what services will you provide?
We will be providing lash beauty service, brows, and skin.
Okay. And everybody that will be working will be licensed?
Absolutely.
No massage?
No massage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this on the ground floor of the building?
It's on the second floor of 90 North Street. I actually share the same level with Senator Martucci.
What will be your business name? Is it going to be Hope of Middletown Gardens, or what is your business name?
Meticulous, New York.
In the resolution, we'll have, because you are in the DMU zone, you'll have to see or go to the Architectural Review Board for any signage you plan on putting outside on the building. But I'll read that off in the resolution. That'll be there. Just give you a heads up.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Walter, any comments?
I see there's an elevator in this building, so it should be ADA compatible, I'm assuming. Correct?
Yes.
It is.
It is.
I'll go back to the public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to step forward and comment on this application? Ms. Hanson, anyone online that wishes to speak?
Not at this time.
Okay.
And Theron had no comments, right?
He had no issue, from what I can understand. And we do have Ms. Hertas' license with the packet. Anyone else that you employ will also have to have the same license, especially if you're going to offer the services, okay?
Thank you.
All right, on the resolution, public hearing is closed. I'll go to the board one more time for questions, comments. Okay. On the resolution then, for Jenny Hertas, 86 to 90 North Street, for a beauty spa, which will be open daily, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., be doing lashes, no massage, and according to her application, brows, lashes, facials, and any employee that will be employed there will have the New York State license for the proper service, okay? On the resolution, subject to the City of Middletown DPW, City of Middletown Fire Department inspections, approvals, and when necessary, approval of Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, and ordinances of the city of Middletown, the state of New York, and the county of Orange, if applicable. In addition, if throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables, the applicant will supply said tables through an architect or engineer licensed in the state of New York. Whereas pursuant to the City of Middletown Code, Chapter 475, Article 4, Administration and Enforcement, Section 475-53, Paragraph E, Paragraph 6, unless work is commenced and diligently prosecuted within 6 months and completed within 2 years of the date of the granting of the special use permit, such special permit shall be null and void. In other words, if you don't start within 6 months' time, you have to send an extension letter to us for your approval, to extend your approval. Understood?
Understood.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion.
So moved.
Ms. Houston, second. Mr. Higbee. Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Brito?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Please see the DPW for your permits.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Also in the resolution, I didn't say it, I thought I was, you must see the Architectural Review Board for any signage.
Thank you so much.
No problem. And we're also going to waive parking. I'm surprised you didn't catch me on that, Mr. Numcheck. Pardon me? I'm sorry, she does have that there, but I'm going to waive it anyway. I'm going to waive it anyway in the DMU zone. Yes. Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha. Next up on the agenda is Barbara Martinez, 22 to 26 Montgomery Street, coffee shop and wine bar.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barbara Martinez. I am going to present to you what I hope will be La Taza Café y Vino. It is actually an expansion. I had La Taza Café in my Emporium Square Artisan Market that was located in Dulcin Avenue. And when we closed Emporium Square Artisan Market at the end of January, we closed down La Taza with the hopes of reviving it and bringing it, keeping it in Middletown. Specifically at 22 Montgomery Street in Middletown, part of the downtown village, their commercial space.
Very nice. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? Great. Open the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to speak on this application, please step forward. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Do we have anything on the anybody on the telephone? Ms. Hanson, do we have anybody online?
Not at this time.
Okay, great. We'll go on to the board for question, comments, and concerns. Mr. Numcheck?
I see, so this is just going to be a wine liquor license, not wine and beer, or
It's going to be a wine and beer,
just wine and beer, not liquor?
not liquor.
And this is open to the public? This isn't just for the residents that live there, correct?
It will be open to the public, yes.
It will be. So is there enough parking?
There is street parking, and then we're close to the municipal lot across the way there.
And I see you are going to have an outdoor
I do have an outdoor deck, yes.
deck that's going to be serving liquor outdoor?
It's, right, yes.
So did you get your license yet from the
Well-
SLA?
Nope, not yet. We're working in the progress, and that's in working progress.
Make sure you mention that when you get that, because the city will need that if you do a outdoor cafe.
Right.
And your hours of operation?
Right now, I have it on my application from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m., 12 a.m., I mean, simply because I need to figure out the nature of what I'm going to be doing in terms of time, how long I'm going to do coffee, when I'm going to start doing the wine, but it will be 7 days a week at that location.
And are you going to have any bands, live bands or music or DJs or anything like that?
There will be live music. There will also be comedy night, jazz night, and also book clubs, networking events.
Are they close to any of the apartments that any noise will be a problem?
Noise shouldn't be a problem. Catalyst Construction is part of the downtown village. They're taking care of soundproofing the ceiling and doing a drop ceiling to provide that buffer between the location and the resident upstairs.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else from the board?
There was, when we had met with them, there was a concern about the ADA. Has that been resolved?
I believe so. I'll read into the record. One of the things that we discussed at the preliminary is that this shop have ADA access. There is a sidewalk that goes around the structure into the back that will be one of the entrances that you can enter the coffee shop. The only problem was there was a gate there, and that was controlled by the owner, but the owner has sent a letter to the chairman of the board, planning department. This letter shall acknowledge that the walkway gate will be open during the business hours of La Taza Cafe y Vino. This will ensure access to the business for disabled patrons and will comply with an ADA entrance. Thank you, Sal Vespalosi, managing member. So that's what we needed, just to make sure that we were all on the same page for ADA. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So
Is there signage being put up to direct them that way?
she has agreed to put ADA signage. I don't know if it's on the plan. I couldn't read the plan that well.
Yeah, the plan was huge, so that's why I gave Martina a big one, and I brought one of my own in case anyone wanted to get a better view of the plan.
Well, we can ask you,
But yes, there will be all the appropriate signage required in order for my customers to find me and I can make money.
okay.
So yes,
All right, you'll be since you're in the DMU zone, you'll have to go to the Architectural Review Board also for any signage or any facade work that you do. And we'll have to waive parking, only because you are in the DMU. We don't have to because you have street and you'll have some municipal parking, but we're going to waive the parking anyway. And the one thing I did forget on the last one, silly me, was the waste collection. When you're in the DMU, there's a special waste collection. You'll have to get with the DPW, you give them a plan of how you plan on getting rid of your garbage. Okay? It's a simple form. You see the DPW, they'll give you everything you need. All right? Any other questions?
It's
Ms.
hard
Witt?
to see on your plan, and I know you have it in front of you, but I'm not just gonna walk over there. What is your occupancy? So you're saying you're going to have some events, so what are you having your occupancy at?
it depends on what the fire inspector deems appropriate.
Okay.
So that wasn't provided to me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if you had like an idea of what you were thinking of having, like 50 people or whatever, yeah.
It wouldn't matter. Mr. Atkins will determine what that will be, and that's what you'll have.
The maximum that you would be permitted?
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Walter, any concerns?
No, not really. But when they get the permit, I'll see more then.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else from the public present wishing to step forward and comment? Anyone online, Ms. Hanson?
Not at this time.
Then we'll close the public hearing. I'll go on to the board one more time for any questions, comments, or concerns.
Mr. Brito, you're comfortable?
I got to see the bigger plan, so I'm good to go. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we always have a plan with a problem with full-size plans, electronics. We all get a different version of it. Difficult to see sometimes. All right. On the resolution then. For Barbara Martinez, 22 to 26 Montgomery Street. Operating a wine and beer and coffee shop. Hours of operation will be 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. Being in the DMU zone, you'll report to the Architectural Review Board any signage or facade work that you're going to do. The board is going to waive parking. And we already read into the record the letter to accommodate ADA. And you'll be subject to the City of Middletown DPW and City of Middletown Fire Department inspections, approvals, and when necessary, approval of the Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, and ordinances of the city of Middletown and the state of New York and the county of Orange if applicable. In addition, throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables. The applicant will supply said tables to an architect or engineer licensed in the state of New York. Whereas the applicant is located in the DMU zone, applicants must submit and receive approval from the Department of Public Works according to Chapter 407 Solid Waste, Article 2 Collection, Section 407-3 Collection, and comply with this section and any other sections enacted by the Common Council from this date forward. Also, whereas pursuant to the City of Middletown Code, Chapter 475, Article 4, Administration and Enforcement, Section 475-53, Paragraph E, Paragraph 6, unless work is commenced and diligently prosecuted within 6 months and completed within 2 years of the date of the granting of the special use permit, such special use permit shall be null and void. In other words, if you don't start work within 6 months, you'll have to write a letter to the board extending your approval. Okay? I need a motion.
So moved.
Ms. Houston, I need a second. Mr. Higbee. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck.
Yes.
Mr. Brito.
Yes.
Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Ms. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. See the DPW for your permits.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Good luck.
I hope I'll see you guys there.
Next on your agenda is no longer on the agenda. But we do have a preliminary this evening, not for any action, but for future presentation and possible action at a later date, not yet determined. This is NOAC 5 LLC, 274 to 278 Dolson Avenue, Wingate Hotel. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening to the board. My name is John Fuller. It's good to see you again. I've represented this application for some time. And just wanted to come back before you to give you an update. And obviously, I'm aware and know John, who gave a pretty thorough review for our most recent submission, and we could probably speak to that some tonight. But I also wanted to give you just a further update. We hope to move quickly and aggressively over the next couple of months with the project, but I know there's a number of outstanding issues yet. Just to remind everyone, obviously it's a 4-story hotel. It's going to be located on City of Middletown lot, just adjacent to the Sleep Inn Hotel, which Mr. Nowak also owns and operates. That is actually in the town of Waiwayanda. We had previously last year gone through the town of Waiwayanda planning and zoning boards in order to get an amended approval for his site plan there in order to allow for cross-access between the two properties, which was part of our, and has been part of our proposal all along with the application. We did get amended approval with the town of Waiwayanda for that site plan for the sleep-in, which would allow us to have the cross-access for the two hotels. One of the things that came up recently, and since we were last before you in December, was just trying to finalize details relative to water and sewer. In consultation with the DPW, we determined that the best route for sewer for the property was to actually send the sewer into the sleep-in town of Waiwayanda property and to tie into facilities there, which ultimately is City of Middletown sewage. Because of the only available sewer is on James P. Kelly Way, which is up at the top of the hill, and there's already a number of pump stations which pump to the manhole at the top of the hill, and that came through consultation with the City of Middletown DPW. Mr. Tawil has agreed and accepted that, has sent a formal correspondence, and we're scheduled to be on before the town of Waiwayanda Town Board tomorrow night to get final approval on them accepting the sewage into their system. So that's an open issue, and I just wanted to share that with the board tonight. We are going to essentially install a pump station on this site and pump the sewer into a manhole that the current sleep-in also pumps to. So we would send the sewage into the town of Waiwayanda, which then ultimately comes back to the City of Middletown sewage system. So that is an open issue but we do have the amended approvals, for the planning board, which I know that was one of John's comments. Obviously, some of the other things we've done to date include reviews with your fire department as well as traffic studies, the SHPO sign-off for archaeological surveys. And I know that, it's the first time John's actually reviewed it, and it's been our most thorough review to date, which there's a number of comments which are, I certainly have to address to his review and move forward with this project. But I wanted to come back and present our current status since I did submit the plans for review. And then obviously we'll continue to proceed forward with the project. So just open to any questions, or we could ask John to walk through some of his comments.
I have a question for you. Tractor trailers, do you allow them in as far as overnight guests?
No. That's a good question. They don't do that. And that was actually part of the sleep-in approval. Now, I can't say that one might not park there, but the sleep-in approval with the town of Wawayanda, that was a consideration. That particular site, again, I'm using it because it's common ownership and we're going to share access. Their parking was very tight. And in fact, part of the amended approval in the driveway accesses that we're going to combine between the properties, we actually had to go get a variance for parking from the town of Wawayanda zoning board. So
What does their code require as far as hotel parking?
it's similar to, it's like one parking space per room, but that site is a little bit smaller than our site, and it was very tight. And so we actually had to go get a variance for 3 less than his requirement.
I had interrupted you. You were starting to talk about tractor
Oh,
trailer.
just a tractor and trailer. No, I mean, that's not it's a good question, and I know that there's restrictions that have been placed on the site plan approval for Wawayanda to not allow for extensive tractor and trailer parking. I can't say if one didn't park one night and they allowed patronage, but that's certainly not the clientele that he pushes to accomplish.
So is there something there saying that you can't, what if 5 tractor trailers, because of all the work being done on Dolsontown Road, decided that they were going to stay over? Is there some policy that is posted saying that they can't?
There's no, I'm not aware of specific signage, and I did represent him for the amended. I did not do the original site plan that was done by another firm, but I did represent him for the amended site plan. There is no specific signage, but it's policy. Their management does not allow for overnight tractor and trailers to park there.
Thank you. So would it be okay for Mr. Nowak if this board decided the same policy here?
Yes, I mean, I can say that for me.
Thank you. Did you want to go through your comments, John, now?
If you want me to, certainly.
You want to go through all of them? That's up to the board.
I can surmise them, so it's not so expensive.
Yeah, if you could summarize.
There's a couple really big ones that I think we should at least discuss. As John had mentioned, there are a number of easements that are required for this to happen. The retaining walls are right on property lines that will have to have grids unless he changes them. Again, construction of a retaining wall right on a property line is disturbance on the adjoining property as well. So the location of the retaining walls, the access, there are retaining walls on the adjoining hotel in Wawayanda that, as a further comment, I did say that we should at least get the resolution allowing that amended site plan from the town of Wawayanda as part of our record. And that should be noted on the plan as well, that was done because it's required for your access. Easements to that existing manhole you mentioned on Route 6 will be needed across the adjoining parcel. The big one I'm going to get into is you're showing 14 foot of fill under the power line. And I know most, if it's National Grid or who owns it, we don't even know, because it's not mentioned as to who owns the power line easement there. We need some kind of comfort level that they'll allow 14-foot of fill and parking underneath their power lines. They're high-tension ones. They might be coming from the power plant, I'm not even sure. But they would be at high voltage, and they're very funny about that. There's a chance of arcing if you're too close. I would be concerned about that. There's also what appears to be a wetland near Route 6, based on the Phragmites that you can see on Google Earth. That even though it's not necessarily on national mapping, I think that needs to be addressed. It isn't isolated because there's pipes through it. A minor comment about a standpipe that seems to be on one plan and not on the proposed. Power lines, retaining walls, easements. A little bit of details on the lighting. You have light poles shown right on the retaining wall. I'm just curious how you're mounting them. And then the rear door of the hotel is right leading out into what amounts to a corridor between a 4-story hotel and a 12-foot tall retaining wall. I would just ask that the fire marshal weigh in on whether that's allowed as a fire exit, because God forbid they get trapped there when they're trying to run away. Grease trap, oh yeah, and then I would just be looking for engineering reports and things. The rest of it, there's some piping on the site existing that I need inverts just to make sure that the chambers system that you're proposing work. You probably want to consider raising it up, as we discussed before the meeting, because your infiltration testing was at the wrong elevation. I think that's really the bulk of it. Oh, and your stormwater events weren't.
Yeah, I saw that, yep.
So, yeah, they updated that in the stormwater design.
They did, they
manual recently.
updated it. I need to update.
But I mean, that's the bulk of my comments. You can read through them and call me if you have any more questions.
No, that's fine. Thank you for
Just,
your review.
the Sleepies, do they have parking or anything going on by high-tension wires?
No, it's the easement is along the adjoining road.
No, the sleep in, you mean?
Yeah,
No,
I'm sorry.
they're away from the.
They're away, so at the hotel
So
itself.
it's unique to us?
Yes,
It's
it's
unique,
unique,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Property, yep.
I mean, I've represented other projects where power lines have gone through site plans, but I agree that I'm going to start with Orange and Rockland to see if we can get any determination as to how they can weigh in on it.
One question that also came about from our review is, what code or what formula are you using for parking at Dolson Avenue, Wingate? Parking spaces.
The parking spaces it's from your ordinance. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but we've always used your ordinance. as
Just
far as-
curious how you read it. That's all.
Oh, how I read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know we talked about this at prior
Yeah.
meetings, it was, because I think it's, according to the way it reads, it's one space per 3 sleeping rooms.
And sleeping rooms would be 3 separate rooms?
That's how I think it reads.
So it's one spot for 3 rooms?
Yeah.
Which,
And Way Yonda is doing 1 for 1.
1 for 1, correct, yeah.
Plus you have a conference type of restaurant,
Banquet.
banquet hall.
Correct, so, yeah.
You have to have parking for that too.
Yeah.
Previously, we had talked about this, and what I've designed around is 1 space per room, which is the same as Way Yonda, just because I feel 1 space per 3 sleeping rooms is just grossly inadequate. It just is. I mean, it's just not going to function properly. So
Right.
what we did is consistent with Way Yonda, we did 1 space per room. So for each hotel room, there would be a minimum of 1 space.
How about handicap spots?
What, excuse me?
Handicap spots, how many?
Oh, how many? Yeah, there's 6, which is consistent with the,
Covers it.
with code, yeah.
So, John, how many parking spots in total do you have there?
So we have in total about 180 spaces.
And how many rooms do you have?
There's like 114. I'm sorry, 114 is sleep-in. It's 140. So we have 180 spots.
And what is the parking requirement for banquet? Because we're going to have to combine both. So if you were maxed out,
Yeah. Understood. So you're asking for a worst-case scenario?
yes.
Okay, yeah, I don't think at that case, if we provide 140 rooms, we'll probably be over with regards to a maxed-out banquet. So, to answer your question, based on that, we don't have enough parking.
But if you do your ordinance, the ordinance of 1 spot per 3 rooms, and
Well,
then the square footage of the banquet hall, then you have enough?
Yes, well, yeah, correct. So if we did your ordinance plus the banquet hall, we would have enough parking and then some. But what we've tried to target all along is 1 space per room. But the banquet hall obviously is something that's going to be periodic, essentially it'll be,
It'll
probably
be
on
when your
weekends.
rooms are full. It'll be when you have a wedding or when
Possibly.
you have a,
Well, just to be clear, there is some discrepancy as far as how the language reads. Some people may read it as three people per room or per parking spot, and others would read it as 3 rooms, 1 spot. So it's not really clear, and it needs to be cleared up.
is that being worked on, or is that?
We've talked about it, and it does need to be addressed.
And then the banquet, I'm assuming that goes by square footage for how many
Generally
spots?
speaking, yeah. I mean,
Yes, Theron would waive in or would let us know what the CO would be for that.
By number of people, not square footage?
Yeah.
Okay, and that, we don't have that yet based on fire code or whatever?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
But the occupancy will be determined by the square footage by Theron for his banquet hall. He'll have.
But we would have to know in advance so we can determine the parking.
It's going to be a hybrid
Yeah.
of the 1 to
A
3 or the
formula,
1 to
yeah.
1. It's going to be a hybrid of that because it's not a situation that we have in our code.
Gotcha. But I know Mr. Nowak said at the other hotel project that you're working on across the street, he was saying that the same exact thing about how he wants 1 spot per room.
He does. I
And,
mean, that-
that he's not going to have a lot of people walking to the hotel. He's not going to have a lot of people, biking or whatever. I mean,
No.
people are going to be driving
He's
to
going
the
to
hotel.
meet our code no matter, by the looks of it, without a problem.
Yeah, if it's 1,
1 to 3.
yeah, 1 to 3.
Would there be overflow parking? Like, could people park at the sleep-in and then
Yes.
walk over for the banquet?
can't count
And
that,
would that
right.
be part of,
No, I know.
We can't count that
We
parking.
can't count that, but that's a question.
I think
You know,
the
like-
concern with that is if Mr. Nowak decided to sell one of the properties and not the other, then they would be infringing on the neighborhood.
Well, we would.
It would be
the
cross easements.
The cross easements are going to run with the property regardless. So, yeah, that would solve that issue. So,
This is all on one lot, right? There's no lot line changes or any
No, no,
subdivisions
it's
that
one
need to be done?
property.
It's all
It's
on
one
one
property,
property, all in Middletown. Correct.
it's all entirely in the city of Middletown, yes. Yeah, the only thing is, again, we're going to have a cross easements for access. And now we've added the component of sewer to the pump station or to the sewer manhole in Wayanda.
John, how many employees would be there at one time?
Typically, the current hotel averages, the difficulty with that is because we have the banquet hall, but I'll just use and sleep in as a basis, is they have about a half a dozen employees during peak time. And then in overnight shifts, there's, I think, 3 employees.
So parking would have to account for them as well, right?
Typically, yeah. I mean, and that's, so yeah, they do park. I know that like on the sleep in, they park in the rear where it isn't a designated parking spot for a hotel room. So there's probably some ways we could work around that, yeah.
Okay. I think you can see what concerns the board has and how they need to be addressed. The comments from the letter need to be addressed by John. I don't know if anyone else has any comments that they need reviewed or talked about.
Any comments on the EAF? Is it a short form or a long form?
I believe it was the long form
Long form.
submitted, yeah. And no, I didn't have any on that.
Nothing, everything's okay
That
with
seemed
that,
to be
John?
consistent, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, we're going to work through, obviously most of his comments, and we'll be back before you soon.
Okay.
John, and just plan for one,
Yeah,
okay? Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Mr. Mad, Mr. Numcheck, all in favor? Aye.